welcome to BCC Virtual Racing. Tonight's race, the Volcano circuit, 32 kilometres long, 7 laps of a 4.1 kilometre loop with a 2.8 kilometre lead-in. Less than 100 metres of climbing in total, so the course could be described as fairly flat, but a couple of little ramps in just the wrong places that will test the riders. 20 riders from BCC start the race this evening in a very large field of 155 plus riders. The pace is likely to be very fast, particularly within the first 3 kilometres, and I would expect groups to form pretty quickly. Staying in contact with your chosen group is likely to be key to success, but the temptation is always there to try and bridge to a group ahead. In Category A for BCC this evening, the ongoing battle between Tom and Stoneham, with I think Tom winning the last round. Davis and Campbell are likely to be the two main contenders in Category B, though we have a return to racing this evening from Ketley, not being seen for a few weeks on course. A new rider in Category C, Darren Charles, not sure why he's in C. I know he's much faster than that and much stronger, but it is a first race for him, so let's see how well he does this evening. And I think we could see an interesting battle in the Ds between Telford and Jones, Rob Jones on this occasion. And the number of riders on the start pen gives an indication of just how frantic this race is going to be. The pace will be high. Great aerial shot there. I fully expect the first riders to be lapped within probably the second lap of this race, so from about 5 to 8 kilometres. 10 seconds to go before the start. And the riders are off. A few riders left behind at the start. That's a little bit unusual as they head off round the first corner. Too many riders on course to try and point them all out individually, but let's see who I can cycle through. Hall on screen. Who else is in here I can find? Telford. And the one thing interesting already is that the C's, D's, B's and even some of the A's now, yes, they're all beginning to intermix, so this will be a great opportunity for some of the slower riders to try and keep up with the faster groups, but the reverse will also cause issues. At only 2.4 kilometres into the race, the riders are already pushing hard, but look at the length of the lines being formed. These are huge groups, but they are beginning to split up ever so slowly. Shannon and Wales, two similar riders, if anything Wales getting slightly faster and Shannon becoming slightly slower, but I think Shannon is still the stronger finisher. This is something we don't see very often. Lisa's back down with the B's, and even as a C in there. Quigley's in this group as well, so he's probably going too fast. Our first look at Ketley, not been racing for a couple of weeks. Shannon, Quigley, Empson all in this group as well. Lancia just drifting towards the back of the group, but I don't think that's anything to be concerned about at this point. Let me see if I can find the front of the race and the key action that's going on there. At 5.5 kilometres in, 6.5, 7 minutes. No great surprise to see Campbell up in the front group, along with Davis in there as well, Stoneham, and not forgetting Tom. Davis is riding at FTP, or just a fraction under. Just shows how hard he's pushing. Empson about 15 seconds further back as far as I can tell. In fact, that is the group ahead, with Davis just going around the corner to the left. About 10 seconds further back, Dury and Taff, and a further 10 seconds back, Langen and let's have a look, Charles in this group as well. Shannon and Wales in here as well. In fact, this is a very mixed group with riders from Category B, C and D. At 7 kilometres in, I'd fully expect this group to split further within the next 2 to 3 kilometres. Nixon and Quigley in there. Lisa's in this group. I'm surprised to see Collier this far back in the field. Perhaps something's gone wrong. At this stage he's even 7 seconds behind this rider, Peter Jones. And the other Jones in the race, Rob Jones, riding with Telford. This could be an interesting race between these two. I think they are actually fairly evenly matched. Back up to the front of the race, Tom leading the charge just ahead of Campbell, Davis in there as well, Stoneham, not forgetting Danes of course at 12.7 kilometres. Pace is still high, and even at the front of this group of mixed riders the line keeps stretching and compressing. This high pace is beginning to take its toll. Empson just beginning to drop off the back of this leading group. In fact, there he goes. They are now beginning to pull away very rapidly. He is an experienced rider, though I suspect he'll drop back a little bit and join some riders coming up behind. Could be Lance here, who's about 16 seconds behind him at this stage. About a minute further back in a mixed group of B and C riders, Jury, Quigley, Nixon and Langham. In fact, this group is bigger than I thought. Shannon, Ketley, Lisa and Wales are all here as well. I really can't see this group staying together for much longer, not considering the wide breadth of talent and different levels of performance. Riders losing the wheel of the group are likely to become isolated very, very quickly. Just like this rider Charles, no other BCC riders in sight, down to 160 watts there, possibly struggling. But remember, it is only his first race, so he's not used to the pace of these short criterium races. Someone I'd expect to see much further up, Collier at 13.8 kilometres, but as I suspect something may have happened to him at the start. With Telford in category D, seems to have lost Jones, Rob Jones. I'm not sure if Jones is ahead or behind him at this stage. In fact, even more surprising, look at this. This is Danes riding with Cat D at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on with him. He's been on great form. He perhaps has implemented the Davis protocol, which ensures that he stays under 4 watts per kilo. We'll need to look closely at the Zwift par results for that. And back up at the front with Campbell, Tom, Davis and Stoneham still in this group. Another quick look at Danes, just because I've not seen anyone go backwards this quickly in a race before. Maybe he's had a mechanical problem. And I managed to find Rob Jones towards the rear of the field, but a minute down on Telford, so it looks as if he has lost contact with him at 15.1 kilometres, just under halfway through the race. With Empson, he's just about to catch Rob Jones, still moving slightly backwards in the field, moving towards this rider, in fact, Lancier, who's about 24 seconds behind him. At just over 20 kilometres, this group has Jury, Langham, Taff, Lisa, Quigley. Quigley's riding well at this stage. Be surprised if he holds on to it, but he is getting fitter, and I think what is probably third race on Zwift. So could be a rider to watch as his fitness improves. In this group, as far as I can see, Shannon, Ketley, Lisa might be in there as well. Wales. Looks as if Nixon is dropping off. He's been stuck with this group for most of the race, so he's done exceptionally well. 7 seconds behind now. Shannon moving towards the rear of the group. He may be getting tired on this small incline. The challenge now is just to hang on and stay with whichever group you're attached to. At 24.2 kilometres back at the front of the race with Tom, Stoneham, Campbell. Can't see Davis, but I'm assuming he is in there. Yes, he is. In fact, he's just behind Campbell. As there are so many riders in this race, I think we'll stay with this group until the finish. No real change of positions at 28.5 kilometres. Just to give an indication of the pace of this group, they've just lapped Nixon. So here we go for the final few hundred metres in the sprint. Stoneham leading at this stage. They are just about to lap Taff on the finish line, but there is Tom sitting behind Stoneham, poised, waiting. He'll be looking for another win. All riders in the red now. This is all down to timing. Who's gone at just the right time? No sign of Davis or Campbell, but I'm sure they're there somewhere. And it looks as if Tom's just going to... Yes, he has. He's just passed Stoneham on the finish line. A great race for him. At 27 kilometres, Charles, 39 minutes, 50 seconds by himself. The Empson, Ketley, Langham group finished about a minute ahead of Jury and Shannon on screen now. In a bid not to get caught in the sprint, Lisa pulls out 10 seconds ahead of Jury and Shannon. That's a great performance towards the end from her. And here she comes up towards the finish line now. No one really to sprint against, but that probably suits her. And now we see the Shannon and Jury sprint. Jury ahead at this stage, but Shannon can put in a great burst of speed when he wants to. Jury's been riding well recently. And as we come up to the finish line, I think it's going to be Jury by the looks of it. Yes, it is. It's Jury that crosses the line in the same time as Shannon. And Taff follows about a minute and a half later. Charles finishes in 47.40, I think it is. But improvements expected as his racing experience grows. And let's not forget the riders towards the rear of the race. This turned out to be a great battle. Telford was over a minute ahead of Jones, but now the two together as they approach the finish line. It's slightly uphill here, of course, at 5%. Both fairly evenly matched in terms of weight and FTP. One rider slightly older than the other, though, but let's see what happens. Telford's beginning to push. Can Jones keep up? A gap is forming. Telford's pulling away. But now it looks as if Jones is pushing. Yes, he is. He's gaining ground rapidly. Can he catch him? It's a bit close. I don't think he can, but he might just. No, and he doesn't, unfortunately. But Telford crosses the line first. And as Jones rolls to a stop from what was a great evening's racing, let's have a look at the results. Another win for Tom against Stoneham in Category A. A good win for Davis in Category B, and even though he's at 3.9 watts per kilo, he was pushing hard. Quigley takes his first win in Category C, so well done to him. And in Category D, Telford just beats Jones on the line. A great evening's racing from everyone. Well done to all. Apparently I'm supposed to say click on like, subscribe and the alarm icon, but I'm just happy if you watched it. Next race is on Monday evening.